Hi, good afternoon. Karen here, live in the Academy. Happy Thursday and a huge welcome to all our new online members. Feel free at any point throughout your journey to ask us questions. Easiest place and probably the place that we see it first is in the secret support, and there's always a team member on hand to answer questions. Do though also feel free to reply to any of the emails you get for the online course. And you will get a response obviously from any of the team if you have specific questions. But always great, obviously, if you can ask them in the secret support, because then obviously everybody benefits from the answer. But remember, you're on this journey. We're here to help. We want to help answer any questions you might have. So please, if you have them, then reach out and shout. During these live sessions, if you've joined us live through YouTube, all you need to do is hit the little chat button and you'll be able to ask any questions directly. And I can see them come up on the screen here in front of me as well, so don't be afraid to shout. And this week in the Academy, we have been talking all things health, and such an important topic, obviously, to empower people not just to look after their own health, but to think of their health as nearly in a preventative form, to actually try and give yourself the best chance of not having illness or disease down the line. So lots of what we looked at. Probably one of the first markers, actually, or general marker to keep an eye on for general good health is your BMI. That's your body mass index, and it is measured by looking at your height or your weight in comparison to your height. What's considered healthy is anywhere between 18.5 to 25 would be healthy weight. And what the research tells us is that within this weight, you have the least incidence of disease. And that's why it's given really as a generic kind of guideline. Every point over that, so for a BMI of 25 to 30 or over 30, every point increase in BMI increases your risk of most cancers, heart disease, stroke, diabetes. Literally every single one of them are impacted by weight. So important just as an initial marker then to keep healthy weight, which is obviously what we try to encourage you to do here in the Academy. And the life-changing stories we hear every day of the week of people who have lost weight. One of the ladies was in yesterday and she has lost just over 5 stone, was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and had it for several years, and then her consultant basically told her if she didn't lose 5 stone, he wouldn't be making any more appointments for her because he wouldn't be seeing her for a very long time because she would not be alive potentially. So she lost 5 stone and her type 2 diabetes has completely been eradicated and she takes no medication at all. So folks, the phenomenal difference we can make to the body just by treating it well and giving it the fuel and the good stuff that it needs to be getting. I was saying to them all yesterday, I had a big stick here yesterday actually in the class, and I was saying to people, if I took this stick and I whacked myself on the arm about 4 or 5 times really, really hard, what happens? And then they were like, you're nuts. But apart from that, if I did that 5 times, start to get a bruise, a little bit of swelling on the arm, and then the inside, all those cells become that little bit damaged. But guess what? If I leave that alone, about 2-3 days later, you'll see that completely eradicate. Your body knows exactly what to do to heal it from the inside out. So all those cells will work incredibly hard to renew all of that skin and the whole area. And literally within a few days, that bruise will be completely gone and the arm will return to completely normal. I did say though that imagine though, so I've just created a big bruise there, and then 3 or 4 hours later, I took a big stick again and I whacked the arm 3 or 4 times more. And then 3 or 4 hours again, I do it again. And I wake up tomorrow morning and I do exactly the same thing. What happens next? So I have a very sore arm now. It's incredibly inflamed. I can barely lift it. So what do? I take myself off to the hospital or the doctors. And what's the doctor going to say? He's going to say, yeah, you have a very sore arm there. He may patch it up a little bit, but he's probably, first of all, going to give me painkillers. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to take the painkillers and I'm going to hope that this is going to disappear. But then 3 or 4 hours later, I'm going to take the stick and I'm going to whack it again and whack it again. And after a couple of days, it's probably going to get really, really sore. And if I continue to do that from now to Christmas, imagine what state my poor arm would be in. And again, I know you're sitting at home thinking, God, you're nuts now at this point. But imagine what we do in our everyday lives is exactly the same as whacking ourselves on the arm 3 or 4 times a day. What we're putting into our mouth, on our fork, and into our hands in the forms of drinks as well, goes into our body and is literally like tap, tap, tapping very gently every single day of the week on our arteries, causing massive inflammation on the inside of the body and actually impacting these trillions of cells on the inside. So I want you to think of your fork like that big stick, and every time you eat or drink, are you putting foods into the body that are actually curing and healing and repairing and giving your body the antioxidants that it needs to fight disease and fight illness? Or are you literally tapping away with high saturated fat foods, high-fat dairy products, high-fat meats, your processed foods, alcohol, lots of sugar, takeaway foods. Think about what are you actually doing. And for me in my personal life, the way I kind of try and look at it is I want to give myself the best possible chance of living disease-free. And I know, obviously, in today's society, we all have experiences of losing people to illness and disease. And lots of those people can be healthy weight, live incredibly healthy lives and still get sick. And I totally get that. But for the majority of cases, so many of the illnesses that people are dying from in this country are somewhat preventable. So trying to think while we're well, let's stay as well as we possibly can and make our bodies work the best they can. So what can you do, I suppose, is what we looked at then in the Academy, and what can we be feeding the body with to give ourselves the best possible chance. Another good marker, actually back to BMI, is your waist measurement. A waist measurement for our men of over 94 centimeters or over 80 centimeters for our women puts you at increased risk of disease. So just get a little tape measure, stick it around the waist, and does no harm just to have a little other check. For kids as well, I was telling people a kid's waist measurement should be less than half their height. So particularly now it's September coming and back to school, it does no harm just to check your kid's height. We tend to do it every year for start of school just to see how tall they've got. But just does no harm, check their heights. And then don't have to tell them you're doing their waist measurements, but literally you could be letting on it's for school uniforms or trousers or skirts or whatever, and say, look, I just want to measure the waist. And you don't have to let them know anything, but it's just a good guide so you have an idea, is your kid healthy weight? And then if not, you can make small changes without children ever being aware, having less junk in the house, getting them more active, making small changes that literally over the next few months or even school term or the next year, you could see by this time next year when they're going back to school again, a hell of a difference in their life. So don't think you can't change things. It is so, so important. Cholesterol, one of the markers of health as well. Lots of people in the Academy this week had said they had never ever had the cholesterol checked, which isn't a major issue. Don't want you all rushing out back to your GPs and spending a fortune now to find out that you're incredibly well. But I do think sometimes people have symptoms of illness that they kind of ignore, they bury their head in the sand and don't really want to know about. So if there is something niggling at you at all in any part of your body that you feel, gosh, that needs checked and I've been putting it off, then the earlier you can check these things, the better, folks. So we've been empowering people actually to make that call or make that step to actually go get things checked. Linda had just seen actually there today, Tesco's are offering cholesterol checks. Blood pressure was actually free. Cholesterol, diabetes was, and something else maybe, for blood pressure for €15. So not bad then as well. Next time you're in doing your shopping, just go and get those checked. Or next time you're at your GP anyway for something else, just get your full blood profile done and does no harm. But your cholesterol should be lower than 5. I think the average for this country is in around 5. And you can imagine cholesterol is affected by your total saturated fats. And the Irish diet tends to be high in fattier meats, massive dairy, we're cheese and milk lovers as well. So try to have less saturated fat in your life where you can. Obviously, all your processed foods have a big impact on that too. So get that checked and just have an idea as to where you're at. Blood pressure, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, know what your normal is, know what your normal actual blood pressure is. But very often people will suffer symptoms in silence of blood pressure and can be incredibly dangerous if it goes unchecked or unmonitored for a long time. So again, just if you're feeling in any way unwell with it, be sure to check. Cancers in Ireland as well. We are now at a stage that 1 in 2 people in this country will get cancer in their lifetime. I find that probably one of the most horrific statistics I ever read, because it's not only, I would say less than 10 years ago, that was 1 in 4. And with all the research, all the medication, all the pharmaceutical drugs companies, we are now at more risk than ever of getting disease in our lifetime. So I don't want to be in that 1 in 2, and I can foresee that in the next 10, 15 years, that's going to be every single person. It's not going to be 1 in 2 because the stats aren't getting better, they're getting worse. So what am I doing to protect myself as best I can? I am going to get literally all the research and any books that I'm reading at the minute. The more vegetables, color, antioxidants, nutrition that you can get into the body, then they're the most preventative things. As I said earlier, when you're whacking your arm there and you get a bruise or a cut, your body knows how to heal. It doesn't need anything. And every single day inside your body is fighting a battle against unhealthy or dangerous cells. And it knows exactly how to do that when it's not disrupted from that process. When it doesn't get loads of alcohol, medications, drugs, processed foods, takeaways, all of that. When too much of that's going on in the body, everything else, all the other proper processes become debilitated or even stop. So the more good food you can get in, and the way I look at my life is, because I say all the time, to take a glass of wine come the weekend, then I try to get as much antioxidants and good food in 90% of the time as best I can. So breakfast, lunch and dinner, I will include colour with it as literally our 3 steps. And anything in any of the health stuff that I read or do in my master's, literally that is the best preventative medicine you can put in. So that colour is so important. So you could get 3 meals throughout the day, but not maybe add much colour to them. So literally think of the rainbow, think of the colours. Next time you're in the vegetable shop or the supermarket, literally take a look around and see what vegetables am I not getting on a daily basis, and just try and involve more colour where you can. Turmeric, incredibly good for cancer fighting properties as well. And I actually I was saying all the time, I used to put the turmeric into my rice just to make it yellow. And I kind of got out of a habit of doing that lately. I think as I started using whole grain rice more, maybe I just stopped doing it. But that is one thing I'm going to definitely add more of in my life, because we do a fair bit of rice in our house. And then the likes of broccoli, all your greens, so good for the body. Berries full of antioxidants as well. And again, then think there's orange, green, all your purples and reds, then straight away lots of colour going into the body. So try and focus on that. Your treats and extras, of course, everybody loves a piece of chocolate or a packet of crisps, but this should be literally the moderation side of things. This should be the smallest part of your day. And I laughed to see one of the ladies posting the app there just before I come on to say she went to the shop to buy a curly whirly and was talked into buying the 4 instead of the 1. And I know in the north you get 4 or 5 for £1. So it does look like value, but of course, like most of us, what did you do? At the 4 or 5 rather than just the 1. And I know that is totally me. If I go to the shop and I buy 1 of something, I'll eat the 1. If I buy it in 4 or 5 or 10, particularly things I love, then I will potentially eat them all. So try not to look at foods like that on a price value kind of thing. Try to think, do you know what, actually eat to my goals. I'm going to enjoy one of these, and then if there's not more there, then I potentially can't have them. But yeah, try to limit your sugar there where you can to less than the 300 calories. And don't be afraid as well. Over time, as you become healthier, you may decide that you'll have healthier treats. Lots of the girls, I know Kelly and Gronny here, are very good at making their non-refined sugar treats. And so good as well for the body. But that's a natural progression. I feel for myself, even 10 years ago when I first started losing weight, my diet had to make such a transition from lots of takeaway foods, lots of carbs, lots of handy things, loved Coca-Cola even at the time. And it's just then trying to make a process then of actually more home cooked foods, trying to add in some more veg. I did not eat the amount of veg 10 years ago, and yet still lost 4 stone that I eat today. But I would say my diet is 10 times healthier today than it was 10 years ago. But over that 10 years, then your taste changed. And I think as you become healthier and fitter and stronger, you just feel that your body needs more of that and craves more of that and want to actually have more. So try your best to give yourself the best chance possible. Breast check and smear, so important. Obviously, our ladies out there, so important that you're getting, particularly over the age of 50 here in Ireland, they offer a breast check. But if you are trying to get into the habit of even just checking your breasts monthly, try to get to know what your norm is. And then if you do notice any changes at the earliest possible point, then go on to get that checked. I know it can be a very daunting experience for many, but prevention definitely, and the earliest detection definitely gives yourself the best chance of recovery. Smear tests, there's a big campaign at the moment for Don't Fear the Smear. Book in, you should have one every 3 years. And the research actually would say that we as women spend at least 7,000 minutes a year doing our hair and makeup. 7,000 minutes a year, which is crazy. And over 110,000 women in this country have never attended for a smear test, and yet it's free, painless, and quick. So if you have never been, then it is something definitely, and smears have been proven when they're done, obviously, that a massive help for prevention for any of these kinds of illnesses when they're caught early. So folks, please go book that smear and keep an eye on your breasts. Menopause, we talked about during the week actually as well. And menopause, I said I'm 43, so it's probably not too far away. The early menopause considered before 40. And it's something that every single woman in this country will go through, yet there was very limited, like we got lots of leaflets and all kind of on diabetes, on women and alcohol, loads of smoking even, lots of leaflets available from the HSE, but very limited information actually on menopause for something that affects every single woman in this country. And so if you are going through menopause or around that age or maybe midway through, just to bear in mind that some of the things that will help, your health, being healthy weight, entering the menopause at healthy weight helps reduce any potential symptoms. And then some of the triggers that can make your symptoms worse would include the likes of caffeine, alcohol, and sugar. So I certainly, if I felt that I was getting any of those symptoms, I would certainly look at reducing those and see, does it make a big difference. And if you want, feel free to talk to anyone when you're in the classes or even online. Seek out help and advice. The likes of Boots offer service there where the pharmacists are very happy to talk to you. Because there's loads of herbal and even little magnetic things, loads of things actually that help alleviate symptoms as well, that are completely natural to use rather than always just rushing straight maybe for a drug or a medication to help your problem. Smoking. Loads of stuff on smoking. If you're still smoking, I would say stop, please, for your own health. Smoking is one of those things that they know 110%, but obviously is going to take years off your life. But on a positive note with smoking, they also equally know that if you stop today, within 15 years, literally, your body works so hard to cleanse your lungs and get all of that mucus and everything out of your lungs. Within 15 years, your lungs are that of a non-smoker. So how exciting actually is that if you literally just stopped today? And lots of people, women do say to me though, oh no, I'm not stopping smoking because I'll gain weight. So folks, try not to think about it at all. And if you are stopping smoking or trying to stop smoking, then actually maybe doing this at the same time and focusing on healthy eating and getting amazing food into the body rather than just picking at rubbish. There's no point in getting rid of one ill and creating another one. So definitely try and do both then at the same time. For our men, we do have men in the academy. I know our women are very vocal on our secret support, but we definitely do have men. And prostate cancers is probably one of the biggest cancers for men here in Ireland. And 1 in 8 men are diagnosed with prostate cancer. Again, it's nearly just trying to push our men. I think our women probably go that little bit quicker to GPs and to doctors. And for our men, actually just maybe to give them that little nudge to get an MOT nearly or an annual health check, particularly over the ages of, I would say, 40 or 50. It is so important to do that. We do it with our cars. We NCT our cars when or MOT them when they get to a certain age. And yet with the body, we just expect it to keep trucking along and not get any little minor things checked as we go. So folks, do try to do that. And I think it all reverts back to the 5 steps. And I think for everything I've read, for doing my master's research, for literally anything that I do for my own general good health, the 5 steps seems to cover most of it. So your 3 colourful meals a day, and as I said at the start, getting more colour in there where you can. Not to 300 calories. You don't have to have treats or sugary foods or extras every day. Your body will cope perfectly fine without them as well. So between 0 and 300. Obviously, there are times we all have social occasions and other things where you need more than 300 calories. But for maximum weight loss and best health over time, trying to average it out around that 300 calories per day. Your fruit and veg, I know we say 5 vegetables and 2 fruit. That literally 5 is an absolute minimum, I would say. If you can increase that and over time get as many as you can. Or maybe if you're just starting and you're thinking, Christ, I don't like any veg, then adding in 1 or 2 this week. Pick the 1 or 2 you do like. I made a big pot of homemade soup yesterday, and I find even for the kids and all, everybody packed full of nutrition and everybody eats it and enjoys it. And nearly don't realize how much veg they're actually getting in. So any way you can get it in, then do. Your fruits, I would try to limit to around 2 pieces. But don't be too concerned either on that. Roughly 2. If some days you wanted another handful of berries or another apple or donut peaches I had up yesterday, actually was amazed. Many people didn't even know what they were. But try that kind of variety and try new things all the time where you can. Activity then, for general heart health, you need to be doing at least 150 minutes of activity per week. And actually anything I read on preventative medicine or good health or general good health, they recommend at least 20 to 30 minutes every single day of the week. And working up to that again, if you're only starting and you're not feeling active, what happens actually when you exercise is everything in the body is actually getting ignited and your lungs, everything's getting cleared out. So the more you sweat and the more that you're actually working, toxins are being removed all of the time. So particularly think maybe you're out on a Saturday night and then you wake up Sunday and you're feeling bloody miserable maybe and all you want to do is eat. Actually getting for a workout, getting out for a walk or a run or a jog or cycle even, doing something to start releasing all those toxins back out of the body from everything that you've eaten and get some great food back in is really the best thing you possibly can do for this body. Human body is amazing. It is going to last us 100 years or more if we look after it and we treat it the best we possibly can. If we don't, in this country alone, our people, our loved ones, are dying between 7, and most of our men aren't getting to 70, and most of our women aren't getting to 80, and yet the lifespan in this country should be at least 90. My goal, as I say all the time, is to get to 117, and I don't want to be alone when I get there, so I want you to do the same. And I can't guarantee, as I said, doing all these things, that you still potentially wouldn't get sick, but I definitely do know that you are giving yourself the best chance ever of not getting sick. And God forbid, should you get any illness as well, you are also giving yourself the best chance of recovery too. So folks, I hope I haven't scared you to death, but I think it's so important that we said we will educate you, excite you, and empower you. And if we can educate you enough to do that, then knowledge, as I said, is power. If there's any specific topics that we touched on today that you would like more advice, more information, more help with, feel free to reach out. As I said, reply to any of your emails, message us in the secret support as well, or in the app. But do reach out, and we are here and only too happy to help or direct you to services that definitely can help. I know as well, actually, some of you had been questioning the Fitbits and the activity end in the app and how to do that. You can go into the portal to actually connect your Fitbit, and I will do a little video to actually show you how to do that. But in the meantime, I would say if you're tracking your activity and you're using your Fitbit, or I use my Strava even, once you know you're doing it, I wouldn't be too concerned about how to use the app more for your motivation, for your recipes, and to keep your food end then 100% right. But I promise I will do a little video on that just to show you all exactly how to connect it. So folks, get excited. Thursday, get yourself through the weekend, and literally every time you lift that fork, think to yourself, am I putting something in my body that, number one, is going to help you with your weight loss goals, but number two, is going to help you live a long, healthy, happy life for literally as many years as you possibly can? Or are you literally tapping yourself to taking years off your life? So folks, remember the fork, and I will chat to you all next week.